I stopped watching H3 after the Sam Seder debate. Been a longtime fan of both him and you. There you go. There are people out there who have had their opinions challenged in the process. I'll cover this as the last thing.
I think it's completely beneath Hasan to entertain any of this nonsense.
I think you know, you've also genuinely liked Ethan. That's the thing, is like they actually had a friendship. They actually did a show together. I can sympathize with Hasan's perspective that he feels like, look, the guy I knew is still somewhere in there. I'm going to try to get that guy out. I'm going to do the best I can to get to that conclusion. I can sympathize with that because I went through that myself with that period when TYT hated me and Jimmy Dore hated me, and I'm out there trying to be the enlightened centrist in their feud. And like, I also thought, hey, if I just tell it like it is and I'm sympathetic, then I can get through to Jimmy. I can get through to TYT or whatever. And then, you know, eventually what you found out, me in the case of Jimmy, him in the case with Ethan, is like, no, man, some people, you're just not going to get through to them. It's just not going to happen. Doesn't matter how correct you are. Doesn't matter how factual you are. They're just going to go right back to their petty grievances.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, that's a great...
I think it's time to stop treating Ethan like someone who's lost his way but is on the right side. He simply is not. No, I know that. I know that. I understand that. At this point, my goal is to at least, like, I don't even give a shit if his fan base leaves him or whatever. I just don't want them to constantly play a role, inadvertently or deliberately play a role in Hasbara. That's it. They're spreading a lot of dangerous misinformation while simultaneously assuming that they're also pro-Palestine. And this was a way for me to try to get them to question, like, wait, if Ethan and Hasan are in agreement, like, why the f does he care about all this petty shit? Like, he keeps trying to defend that by being like, well, you can believe two things at the same time. You can argue about two things at the same time. But it's like your only commentary on the issue of Israel's revolves around your own personal feelings and how wrong do you think you are by random content creators online that are actually advocating for Palestinian emancipation. That's it. And I do think that a lot of people in that back and forth perhaps changed their opinion a little bit, because there are still people in that community that are like, yeah, I'm pro-Palestine, but like, I don't really understand why other pro-Palestinian people that are my friends actually take issue with the way that I talk about this stuff. And it's because it's precisely because like they have been deluded into thinking that their commentary on this issue is actually on the side of Palestinians by someone that they like, their content creator, their favorite content creator being Ethan Klein.
What I would say is pick a lane, bro. Are you going to talk politics or are you not going to talk politics? If you're going to talk politics, talk politics. I don't care about a beef that I need to learn 36 hours of lore before I understand what the fuck you're saying. Like, I don't care about that stuff, and people shouldn't care about that stuff. But
I think a lot of content creators are underestimating that this has graduated from petty drama to relevant public manipulation. The issue isn't beneath you, even if it is petty. Not addressing this stuff is how Asmold gets a horde of dummies behind him. It's stupid discourse, sure, but I think it's irresponsible to just not engage with obvious misinformation. Yes, that's part of the reason why I'm forced to do it, even though I despise doing it, even though all the slop tubers love when I actually get in the dirt with them and duke it out in the pigsty. But the unfortunate reality is that there are a shit ton of people that are completely uninformed about this stuff. And my job, the way I see it, like my purpose, my goal is to reach those people and hope that they can maintain some semblance of charitability so they can at least like find a new perspective. Okay. It doesn't have to be, they don't have to agree with me across the board, but as long as they're charitable and hear a different framework, a different way of looking at these issues instead of the steady garbage that they feed themselves, I think that there is an opportunity there to change their minds. It's unfortunate, but I think that is a real problem right now. And I try to do my best to like manage it and not entertain the pigsty, the pig pen, to the best of my ability. But the entire thing has become a pig pen. Everyone has become pigs. I've had to explain to a pro-Palestinian driven who watched H3 why what they were saying was pro-Israel propaganda because they kept repeating Ethan's points while talking about Palestine. Yeah. I'm personally burnt down on it, but I won't deny our coverage is useful, even necessary. The H3 community having actual pro-Palestinian voice is a win on their broadcast. So you and Sam being on there was and is solid. It's just hard to watch because of Ethan. Yeah. And I don't know how much, like, I don't know whether or not those efforts were futile or not. Okay. But I'm sure there were plenty of people that were moved.
But there's also, you know, a pretty sizable Hasan hatred community, right? I mean,
That's
I know
what blows my mind. It just seems like he's so obviously the one in the right here.
well, Hasan and Destiny hate each other and have hated each other for a long time. I know Destiny's community hates Hasan. Hasan's community hates Destiny, and there's other, you know, ancillary players in the whole thing. But yeah, I mean, look, this is the downside of the internet, is that sometimes people can lose their minds in the sense that the petty vindictiveness is the thing that drives them, and so they're just looking for content about the people they hate. Right. And, it becomes really, politics is ancillary to that. It's really got nothing to do with that. You know what I'm saying? And so I think that's effectively what's happening. But again, in the long term, like, what the gets accomplished? Like, what's going to happen?
See, I stopped watching H3 after the Sam Seder debate. Been a longtime fan of both him and you. There you go. There are people out there who have had their opinions challenged in the process. And due to people making reasonable arguments in the face of someone who is being incredibly unreasonable, like optically unreasonable and petty, given how serious the situation is, depending on the empathy that they can demonstrate, they've had their minds changed. And I think it's important. I used to not like you and would have been a perfect candidate for Ethan to convince me completely to hate you, but his obsession was too intense, and for the constant accusations made me come to your stream to find out the truth, and then I realized your worldview was very similar to mine, and I felt duped, lol. This happens a lot more than people think. This is precisely the reason why I do what I do, for the record. Oh, first, I was going to talk about Sam Seder's analysis of his conversation with Ethan, and then I'm going to move on to Donald Trump in the Middle East.
I did not know about H3 until Ethan contacted me, until and that is really the extent of my knowledge about that. I was sort of, I mean, I don't want to say I was dragged into what seems to be sort of like a personal drama disguised as a like an issue, frankly, like a political issue, and I think there's some element of that, but I think Ethan has some challenges that he's working on, but you know, that's for him to deal with. I just
Sam is being humble. He really wanted to wade in on Ethan Klein's history with Trisha Paytas and their Frenemies podcast. He really wanted to get into it all.
Binder immediately goes to stuff that he knows. I have no idea what he's talking about.
I know he wanted to start sticking up for Jay Shay and other people too.
What the f is going on with this audio? Some goober called in today to get Sam to talk to Lonerbox so we can refute what Jeremy Scale says. I wish I was kidding. This is what I mean. This is the intersection of drama and like real journalism. That is insane, dude. That is insane. That was unironically my wake up moment. Old heads know that the reason why I pulled out of like the toxicity of debate spaces wasn't because I was bad at it, okay? Which I readily admit, I'm not the best debater, right? But the reason why I pulled out of the debate spaces was specifically because when I was having a conversation with Ryan Grimm on a book that he wrote about the progressive movement within the Democratic Party, I believe that was what it was about, and chatters in my community at that, because at that time I was like collaborating with Destiny a lot, and chatters, like crossover chatters, were coming in to try and debate Ryan Grimm in an informational setting. That was insane. It's like, you're a random online commentator. This person is a primary source on the issue that he's speaking on. He is incredibly well read on this. He's a profiled journalist. The idea that you are going to get Lonerbox to debate Jeremy Scahill, an award-winning investigative reporter that has poured his entire life into covering issues in the Middle East, like spent most of his adult life doing this. The idea that like some random YouTuber is going to go in and debate this person is ridiculous. It's almost as ridiculous as Pestany. It's almost, was this the one?
I gotta skip that paywall.
No, this wasn't it. This is new. This is when Ryan was at my house recently. I'm talking all the way back in like 2018. I actually think this is the other way around. Your disagreement with Ethan is based on his Zionism. He cloaks it in personal drama so he can fool his parasocial fans into thinking you are attacking him, and therefore the issues you support are also bad. He is not fighting with you because you guys don't get along personally. He's fighting with you because of his Zionism. I think his Zionism contributes to it. But if you think that it's not because of his own personal distaste for me, come on, dude. I think he is not intelligent and well thought out enough. I don't think he's intelligent enough to recognize that he's like being a soldier for Hasbara. Anyway, it's certainly both, but I think it's more so his personal distaste.